Hi there, it's me, Kate, lecturing with you internationally. I'm linguist, founder of Bilingual and Lingua Plus. Recently, I've been to NASA and we had a lot of very interesting talks. So, I've been wondering, hmm, what would happen that at some point we start communicating with aliens? Who knows? Not just, this basic biological organism, which is also exciting, but other beings. The point is here, we need to be ready, but would our human language be enough? If we watch the movie Arrival, so probably, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, but indeed, would our language be enough? Because language is shaped by our biology. Like human language is kind of, weird. Because we have with you here lungs, vocal cords, right? So the size and shape matter. Then, of course, it's about our mouth, tongue. So all of the system, yeah, that helps us to produce sounds and the way we breathe, the way we stand. So imagine if we encounter beings, aliens, with no lungs, with no mouth, no air, completely different sensory system. Maybe they communicate with color bursts, like octopi, or perhaps it's electromagnetic waves, or it's like sand trails, like a lot of animals do, right? So we can't just send radio message in one of our languages, or maybe binary encoded, Morse. There's a problem. There's a fundamental problem with that. This human language evolved with humans, evolved by humans, for humans, and it evolved within the context of our physical world, our environment, our conditions. Maybe even the idea of a word, yeah, maybe, foreign. They don't know what it is. So in this case, like, how would how would we speak? How would they speak? Like to understand each other. I've been talking a lot about it that language, like, it's not just words. And there's so many different ways of communication that we can also potentially call, yeah, languages. Because when we have language with you, it relies on sound waves, right? Sound waves in our air. And then we have the pressure fluctuations and so much more. But let's just think that maybe these aliens live in water, like underwater, and they have no ears. Or maybe they communicate with like quantum entanglement or something like this, right? Or maybe like they share meaning instantly. In this case, it's like, working with dolphins or with whales, trying to teach them the way we speak. And it will be like us yelling in the ocean, right? But nothing happens. Maybe indeed human language is not the best. But in this case, a lot of scientists suggest math, right? That it could be a universal bridge. And my father also been saying like, yeah, math should be the one. And I agree and disagree a little bit. Why? If you've read or watched Isaac Asimov's Foundation, you may remember there is a moment when they're deciding which mathematical system to preserve for future generations. They're debating whether it's going to be um, math counting 10, 3 divided by 2, so binary, 3 tertiary, 10, 50, and so on. And suddenly you see this rich tapestry of different mathematical systems that evolved across different cultures and planets. And this is really like big question because if you look at SETI and Voyager missions, they typically send different mathematical sequences. They would use Fibonacci, pulsar frequencies, and also geometric relationships. I would say like geometry, trigonometry, super important when we talk about space. Yeah, like our relation in space. So perhaps when we talk about mathematical systems, we need to take into account different ones. Uh, Still, what's good about math, that whichever system you use, you will come to more or less the same result. And I think that's important. It's like it's universal. But even here, right, we have a limitation because if we transfer uh, information via math, we will show that we exist, but we won't be able to provide any more information like, say, emotion, because it's numbers, right? In this case, the question is, should we use poetry? Should we use music? Because if it's music, music is patterned. It's like math, right? Music and math go hand by hand. And I love music and I love, yeah, composing, playing, and it's very mathematical, right? But music carries emotion. You have rhythm, variation, tension, release, and you don't need to know the lyrics or understand the lyrics in order to feel touched by a song, right? By a melody. So maybe music could work, but again, we don't know whether they have senses in order to perceive it. And then poetry. I'm a poet. I love writing, yeah, composing, but the issue is here that we don't know. Maybe their language is going to consist of metaphors, symbols, right? And there will be layers and layers of symbols. And here, what I must say, and then we don't need linguists, we need an expert in semiotics. And it's not only just for this particular case. I believe eventually the center of all of it will be semiotics. It's all about the symbols, signs, images, sounds, patterns that will help us here to solve it. Like for instance, Voyager Golden Record, like you've seen that beautiful disk, send their math, diagrams, music, and greetings in 55 languages, even the sound of a baby crying. So it was a composition of different symbols, maybe even metaphors, right? That potentially could help whoever is going to receive it one day, you never know, um, perhaps to understand us a little bit better. But still, even like talking about language, we need context. If I'm going to say like, oh, hot, like something is hot, it could be weather, right? Temperature is hot. Let's say he's hot, like he's attractive. I can say, yeah, it's hot, like the situation is dangerous. Or then if we go to something more complex, we think about sarcasm or love or grief. How are you going to explain it? Yeah, because abstract ideas, concepts are the hardest to explain. I've talked about untranslatable words. This is a problem, right? Even like between cultures, how to explain certain emotions. But then imagine that untranslatable words multiplied by light years of evolution and divergence. Oof, really tough. How are we going to create a shared cognitive map with aliens? I don't know. Sounds almost impossible, but I don't think that it's completely impossible. I think what we'll need to do instead is to find shared patterns of perception and meaning, associations, right? And from there, potentially we will figure out how we're going to communicate, which way of communication is going to be, whether we'll be able to develop our shared language, like shared way of communication, create maybe a dictionary for it. I don't know, but I'm looking forward to our first interstellar exchanges, notes, pulses, whatever it's going to be. But I'm curious to hear your opinion. What you like? What do you think? What uh, um, what do you think is going to be the best way to communicate with aliens as well? Like maybe animals, like underwater aliens, underwater animals, right? Um, and share it in comments. And if you like this video, well, subscribe and wait for other videos. That's all. See you. Bye.